Welcome back to That's God. I'm Summer.
And I'm Emerson.
And on today's Testimony Tuesday, I'm going to let Emerson introduce.
Our special guest is Robinson Escobar.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I've known Robinson for a long time, ever since, what was it, 5th, 6th grade?
Like 6th grade, yes.
Yeah, moved from Virginia to Franklin to Auburn, Kentucky.
Yep.
Whoop, whoop. And that's where we met the first time. I can't even remember. It was so long ago. But
Yeah.
maybe in the lunchroom eating
Yeah.
Twinkies.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
No.
What other Little Debbie then? All right, brownies. The little, like, the
Cosmic
brownies.
Oh,
You
yeah.
did.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
You
mine.
probably were.
That's mine. Right
Yeah,
there.
and then Emerson came up and was like, "Can I have a bite of that?" He's like, "No." Then they became friends.
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't definitely anything about milk spitting all over me or anything.
Oh, I forgot about that. Well, no, I didn't. So, funny story. I guess it's funny. It's funny to us, I guess. But we were at the lunchroom again in like 6th grade. And we all went to the same church. So it was us and some of our church buddies and some of our school friends all sitting at the same lunch table. And somebody had made me laugh. It was either Robinson or it was a kid next to me. And I had just drank those little, like, cartons of milk. Took a big old swig of it. And I didn't know that somebody was about to make me laugh. And as soon as I started laughing, I couldn't keep it in, and I spewed milk over Robinson, over everybody on the,
Oh, boy.
twice. It was,
Yeah.
it happened twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And then they became friends.
And then we became friends. And then the
Yeah.
rest is history. And
That
so,
is
yeah.
awesome. Yeah. I've known
Anyway.
Robinson for a few couple months, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's okay.
yeah. Robinson.
All right. I was about to say, yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, too, before we get into it. Like, where you're at in college. Like, you don't have to say, like, where, but, you know, your age, all that good jazz, before we get into your testimony.
Yeah. My name is Robinson. I just turned 20, and I'm old now. I feel like my knees and my back hurt already. But I go to college in WKU, which is Western Kentucky, if nobody knew. I am a construction management major. Kind of things I like is like to go to the gym.
I feel like we're
to-
like introducing him to the class.
I don't know what to say.
Introduce
You said
yourself to the
introduce myself.
class. I know, but I realized we didn't do that with Eli, and like nobody knew how old. They're like,
Yeah.
how old is he? And I'm
That's
like,
fair.
he's in
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
You know, so just it also makes it more relatable on a level when they're listening. Like,
No,
oh,
yeah,
he's a
okay.
college dude. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
we didn't say that with Eli, and you kind of just got the gist. But I wanted to make sure we
Yeah.
knew that. So that felt like a first day of class kind of deal. I hate doing that too. I'm like,
Give your
I'm a
elevator
business
pitch.
administration. What?
Give your elevator pitch.
I'm really good.
She got it down.
I ate my elevator pitch. Everybody else took their phones out in class and started reading. I said, no, I'm going to walk up in the front of the class and I'm going to give my elevator pitch.
Oh.
With no, yeah. And
Yeah.
everybody else got 100 too. And I was like, wow, I just should have got extra credit or something. Dang. But anyways, we are so excited to have you on the podcast today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And like we said, you're going to have the reins, give us your testimony. We're going to listen, ask questions at the end. And
Yeah.
that's all I got for you. But we always start with a verse that means a lot to you for your testimony. So if you want to dive into that first and then just go rolling with your
Sweet.
testimony.
Yeah, okay. My verse I feel like that sticks out to me most is John 10, verses 1 through 5, which says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in another way, that man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the gatekeeper is open. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name. He leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. A stranger they will not follow, but they will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of the stranger." I feel like this verse really sticks out to me the most, just because, like Jesus is saying here that, like, he knows his sheep. He knows them by name, which is like, so many people might think, oh, I'm not a sheep or I'm not an animal, right? But like, what he's trying to say here is like, he knows us. He knows what we need. He knows what we want. He knows that we are needed in him. And so the fact that he can call us by name and know us so personally is just so endearing to me, because I feel like in my life I've always wanted to be known and I guess feel loved by somebody. And so the fact that he knows, that he says that he knows our name and that he cares for us, just like a shepherd cares for his sheep and takes care of them. He does that for us every single day. And I feel like for most of my life, I've always like done what he said the sheep don't do, right? That they go follow strangers. I feel like I was very prone to following things that either glorified me or like I thought were my like rescue or my hope, right? But yeah, that's why I feel like the verse sticks out to me, and I'll get more into why later in my testimony. But yeah,
I love that.
That's good.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and dive into that, but I will say I love that he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. That's a beautiful way to start a testimony. So I'm excited to see how he called you out.
Yeah. Sweet. But I guess the way I can start is my kind of testimony starts before I was kind of born. So my mom, she was born in Honduras, so she grew up all her life there. And whenever she started to meet this guy, which is my father now, they had a child back in 2000. And so he wasn't really the best father to my mom, especially. I feel like he did stuff that probably some people would never forgive. But I feel like that it was necessary, all that happened in my life and in her life, in order for me to be here. And so I'm thankful that everything I've gone through and I've seen, just because without it, I don't know where I'd be right now. And so, like I was saying, my mom, whenever she was having me, she was very in a crisis of, well, 'cause she grew up Catholic, and so she didn't really know about much Christianity. She just knew what they knew, and so she really didn't believe in, I guess, God. I mean, she believed in a God, but like not the God, right? And so whenever she was having me, she had a bunch of doubts, and it was very sad, and just the stuff that my dad was doing to her very affected her faith and what she did. And so the way I guess I was born was, I guess, I wasn't a planned child. I was brought into this world, I guess, my dad just took advantage of my mom and raped her, and never knew that I was his until I was born. He always told her that I wasn't his because he got really jealous of her because of what she was doing. She was working, like, a lot, just try to bring my sister from Honduras to the United States, because by the time she's already in the United States, and he got jealous that she was with her boss, which was a male at the time, and he figured that they were having like an affair or with him, and so he just decided to do that, and then he rebuked me being his son because of that. And so in front of like the whole church that he went to, because he was like a big Christian, they knew his name in the church, he did all these services, and from the looks of it, he was like a good guy. But truthfully, I know that he wasn't. And so after I was born, I was very malnourished, because my mom, by the time she was bringing me to the United States, she had to run through like the desert while being born, I'm still not being born, but being pregnant for like 7-8 months, somewhere around there. So she was about to pop, I'm coming out. And so she she gets to the hospital, and when I'm being born, the doctors say I have like a hole in my heart, and they don't know if I'm going to be able to live. And so she's worried, and she's all by herself. She only has my older sister now, and that's all she had. She had no family in here. She was all by herself, and she didn't know what she was going to do. And in that time, she just really, really depended on God, because by then she had been saved and know who God was. And so she was just crying out to the Lord, just giving me to him. You know, she had never done this apparently to any of her other children, but she had said, Lord, this is your child, so take care of him, Lord, because I can't. And so after I was born, like 2 or 3 months later, that hole in my heart just somehow, like, it wasn't there no more. Like, it was just a miracle that the Lord had brought me out of that. And so now we're getting into, I guess, when I was growing up. So my dad was never there. He left, before I was even born. Like, he couldn't care less about me, and which kind of hurt, you know, because I would see these kids at school, like in 1st, 2nd grade, and their parents would come in, and my mom could never come in, you know, because she was working so hard, just trying to keep the roof over our heads and food in our stomachs, which I'm so grateful for, because without her, I would not be here right now. And some people may think that I should resent my mom or maybe be mad at her for what she did for me, but truly, like, she didn't know any better. She grew up in the worst conditions, and just the stuff that she has gone through is just so powerful, how she has come out of and where she is now. And so but back to what I was saying is that like, growing up without a dad, it was very, very hard on just myself, because I knew that, like, I was alone, in quotations, because I felt alone, because my mom wasn't there. My older sister, you know, she was in her teenage years by the time I was in, like, elementary school, so she was out partying and doing whatnot, doing bad decisions. And so I was home alone most of my life in Virginia, which is where I grew up. And I didn't feel that love that I guess any other child would, right? And so that hole in my heart that I had in the beginning didn't come back, but it's like metaphorically that it was like growing bigger and bigger, just because I didn't feel loved. And so I thought that maybe love wasn't what we all get. And so I thought, why not try to fill it with something else, right? And so, you know, in Virginia, there's them schools over there. They're very diverse. There's kids from all over the world, and they all come to one school, and they don't really care what your skin color is. But my mom made a decision around 2016 to come to Kentucky, because the guy she knew at the time, he had an accident with his mother at the time, and she's very elderly, so she couldn't take care of herself. So he decided to pack all his things and go to Kentucky. And when we first got here, I was in Franklin, Kentucky, and I went there for only 1 year, because the schools there, they're good, but it's just like, the reason I left is, they bullied me because of my skin color. You know, they thought, why is this guy here, right? Like, they judged me on my looks, the way I talked, because this is all, like, basically I hear all countries. And so when they see me, like, this city boy coming and just going into the school, they didn't like it, and so they feel kind of threatened just because of the way I was different. And so, you know, they would call me names and do stuff to me, and I didn't like, I would come home crying almost every day just because of the names they would call me, and it hurt a lot. That hole in my heart just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I didn't notice it. And so when I got to Auburn, which is a year later, this is 6th grade now, I get there. The bullying didn't get worse, but it didn't leave at all. It was still there, but it was better than what Franklin was. And so when I got there, I was like, oh, this is a fresh start. No one knows me. No one knows what I've been through. No one knows that I have no dad, so why would I tell them that, right? And so I tried to be more of like an outrovert almost, because no one knew me. And so if I said, maybe if I do all these things, they will like me. They'll be my friends. I get popularity. And so that's when I got the idea of, if I do all these stunts and all these stuff, maybe they'll like me. Maybe they'll love me for who I am, right? And so it was in 7th grade when I decided to start writing these notes. This just comes to show how wicked and just horrible I was as a person, because I would do this out of my heart, genuinely wrote these stuff and meant it, but they thought it was a joke. And I'd write these notes. At the top, I would label them like day 1, and then at the right side, where you write your name and the date, I would write the date and my name and sign it, basically. And I would write these horrible things to these people, just so people, because at the time, whenever cuss words and all this stuff, middle schoolers think that's funny and they think it's cool. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take that to my advantage. And so doing that, I wrote these horrible notes to so many people, and I didn't realize how much it could hurt them, because if I did realize, I would just use the excuse, oh, I've been hurt more, so why would I care about how you feel? And so I write these notes. I wrote so many of them to the point where I just couldn't keep track of them. I remember the date very well, because it was February 14th, Valentine's Day. And so the day before, I wrote one note and totally forgot about it. I think I put it in my backpack where the water bottles really go, and it fell out. And I didn't notice it, because I wrote so many of this. I've been doing this without being caught. And so the principal actually found out about this, because I guess they saw it on the ground or someone picked it up for them, and they saw my name was on it. And very next day they called me up to the front office. It was February 14th, and he talked to me about it, and he was like, "What is this? Why have you done this? And what's the reason for it?" And I didn't have one. I tried to find an excuse in order for me not to get in trouble. I said, oh, it wasn't me, or I was just a joke, this and that. And I didn't realize what I was doing to myself. I didn't realize what I was causing and how much hurt I was dealing out to people. And so after that, of course, they had to call my mom, because some of these things are horrible, And so when my mom found out, by this time, she's already, she's grown up differently than I have. So she's just implementing what she learned onto us. And so when she found out about that, she wasn't very happy. And I don't know, I feel like in that moment, whenever she was disciplining me, which may be different from everybody else, but I definitely wasn't disciplined, I guess, nicely. I guess I could say
there wasn't any gentle parenting.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, I was I don't know how to describe it, but it was just I felt like I was gonna die in that moment, just because of how bad it was. And so I was just like, wow, I think I really do need to make some kind of change, make some kind of movement to me get out of this. And I've already been here a year, and so I get to meet more people. And I met Kobe. Kobe Collins, one of my best friends still today, even in college, all the way from middle school. And he invited me to Awana, which is, we have it on Wednesday nights at our church, or we don't call it Awana anymore, but we had Awana. And, he talked to me about having, they have food there and they have games and this and that. I was like, sweet, yeah, I want to go. And they offered a bus. Sweet, I want to ride on the bus too, there's stories about those buses, but the thing was I was like, yeah, sweet. I mean, I get to hang out with him, all my other friends, and free food. And so when I started going to these, I started going consistently, because my mom couldn't take me, she was working, but the bus was there, so I was like, yeah, that's a great opportunity to go. And so when I went, I didn't really look for anything about Jesus. Growing up, we didn't learn about Jesus from my mom or anything. My aunt, she's still today, I think from what I've learned, that she's actually a Pentecostal. And I didn't really understand their churches, because they was fully in Spanish. And at the time I was a kid, I didn't know anything, so I would go there and just fall asleep or just do something else. And I didn't know any Spanish, so I had to tell the teacher, hey, I don't know any Spanish. And then the other kids would be laughing, of course, because how's this kid brown and I don't eat Spanish, right? And so it was a little difficult for me. And I knew there was a God, but I didn't know who he was or what he'd do. And I knew there was a heaven and a hell, and I knew I was going to go to one of them. And so leading off into Awana, I only went there because, you know, they gave us free food. We get to play games at one point, but I wasn't there for Jesus. You know, I asked myself, if he was real, why would he allow my dad not to be there? Why would he allow my mom to be so aggressive and mean toward me? Why would he allow me to get bullied? Right? I was saying these things just to hide the fact that I had a hole and I had a yearning for my heart, and I was trying to fill this hole with popularity, being the funniest guy or having the most friends, right? And so when I went to these Awanas, I was questioned with a lot of things, but I didn't really care about them. I just went there for the food and the friends. And so after that, the summer of 7th grade, I think it was the summer of 7th grade. I don't know if it was the summer of the 7th or the 6th. And I got introduced to church camp Crossings, which is just an amazing place. I can go on and on about that. Just how amazing what they've done there, and how everything they do always relates back to the gospel and what the point of them having so much fun and all these other activities for them, what the point of it is for. But I went to church camp. You know, he told me about they're having a zip line in the water, which I've never even seen in my life before this. They have laser tag, tubing. I didn't even know what that was until then, right? Until I actually got on the tube. They had basketball, like all these other things. I can go on and on about it. And it was just sounding like amazing. It was like a great time. I was like, yeah. And it's only however much. And so I was like, sweet, yeah. And so when I went there, you know, of course I'm having a blast, and I'm optimistic just because, you know, they talk about God, but then of course I'm still questioning on if he's even real because of the stuff I've been through, right? And so on the third night before we left, I'm pretty sure it was, the preacher was talking about what salvation is and how much love the Lord has for us, how much love he offers us, this willing sacrifice of himself for us that has a debt that we couldn't pay on our own. I was like, wow, man, I didn't realize how much of a debt I was in. I didn't realize how much of a bad guy I was. I didn't realize how much I needed him. And so on the third night, you know, I decided to give my life to Christ. And in that moment, when I decided to do that, I genuinely felt the weight of the world just lifted off my shoulders. And I just felt free, and I felt loved and redeemed by him. And so, of course, you know, like, I had to go tell my mom this, you know, because, like, this is amazing news. Like, I actually, for once in my life, felt loved and felt that, like, no one would judge me based off how I look. No one would judge me of what I've done or said. And so I went to go tell my mom. And, you know, at the time, you know, she's been through so much. And I don't blame her for anything she's done, because she doesn't realize how much love God has for her, or love God has for her. And so when I went to go tell her that I was finally saved, you know, she said, well, that's good. I mean, no, she didn't say that's good, but in a more meaner way, she said, well, finally, at least maybe you'll be a better kid, you know. But she said it differently, if you can smell what I'm stepping in. But after that,
he has adopted that phrase from you. I'm always like, you picking up what I'm putting down? She's like, you smelling what I'm stepping in? I'm like, Emerson, bro. Like, yeah. Anyways.
But no, after that, you know, I had this almost like disbelief that, you know, as soon as I thought I was going to be, when I was saved, I thought things would change. You know, I thought my friends would like me. My mom would be more nicer to me and loving. My siblings wouldn't hate me. And I thought everything would change, right? And it's not what I thought of. And I feel like that was just one of, like, an event that happened to like bring me, I guess, like, my walk. Sorry, the walk that I'm going with Jesus now, that it brought me just further away. Like, I turned my back on him because I thought that everything would change. And that's not how he says it is, right? Like, he says that it won't be easy. No one maybe won't love you if you confess that I'm your Lord. And so when I expected things to change, it didn't. And so then I went on from like 7th grade to 8th grade, and I think about 8th grade to 9th grade, that's when COVID hit, and I just gave my life to Christ, and I thought things would change, and that's when things started getting like more downhill. I think it was like 8th grade, my older sister, which, we've been pretty close just because all the stuff we've been through with my mom and with having only one parent, and her always trying to just take care of me, even though she was doing all of her stuff. She had to take care of me because there's no one else. Mom couldn't afford anybody else at the time. And so we'd always been really close. And so I think it was before COVID that she decided to do something that my mom forbade her to do in her own home. And she got kicked out. And that leader that I had before, it was gone. Like, I didn't know what to do. I just cried and cried for weeks because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know that, or like how to lead or how to do anything. Even though she was like my sister, I looked at her as like my leader, and I depended on her just because she'd always give me food or give me some kind of like acceptance and love. And I try to hold on to that, and I kind of resented her for that. I hated her just because she left and decided to do that. All she had to do was listen to my mom, and she wouldn't have to have left. And so going through COVID, I got became more of an introvert because all I did was literally play Fortnite 24/7 or Call of Duty and nothing. I mean, that's all I would do. I would get up, play that until like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning, and that's all I would do.
Our Fortnite squad was pretty legit, though.
Oh yeah, it was.
I was in that.
The fact that y'all were playing Fortnite together in 2020 and it's 2026
on mobile.
So cool.
On mobile.
Man, mobile was good too because it had
It
that
was.
auto fire.
Yeah.
Just stuck.
Yes.
That was
It
great.
was cheat
Yes.
code. It was cheat code.
It was.
It's actually
and we
available
took advantage
in the
of
App
it.
Store now too. Maybe we should get sponsored.
Dude, but the storage that takes on your phone is absolutely insane.
All right, I have it on my iPad.
Oh,
there you go.
okay.
There you go. That's tech.
Anyway.
That's tech.
Anyway,
That's besides the point.
Fortnite.
Sorry.
Fortnite, yeah.
Going back.
Yeah, okay. Going back, that's all I did. I gamed, and like in my classes, I would just turn off the camera and just play Fortnite in the background. And so I didn't care too much about anything. And I didn't really try to talk to anybody besides the same 3 or 4 people. And so I lost, I guess that you could say, I don't know, like communication or just like the ability to like talk to people, because I've talked to either my family or the 3 or 4 people online. And so 2021 came around. I'm a sophomore now. Yeah, a sophomore. And, I'm still kind of an introvert. We're doing hybrid where we're coming in class, or sometimes we do online. And, I'm still like not doing much. And by this time, I've been playing football since 6th grade. And so I've known a little bit about football. And so, when I choose to do something, I try to do it until the very end. And so I knew that if I did football, I was going to try to do something with it. And so it was a little hard just getting games because, it's COVID. We can't tackle, do this and that. We had to wear masks during practice, which is absurd. I did not like it at all. I could barely breathe, and that didn't help at all. And so that sophomore year comes around, nothing really happens until we get to like junior year. Junior year is like we're all back to normal. Like you don't have to wait in line to go in the store or something. And I've become more just like an introvert because I made new people that I've never met before. Because I've only known people like in Auburn, but then now I'm meeting people from like Olmsted and Adara and all these other new people. And like I'm liking the kind of like attention and kind of like the fame in quotations from meeting all these new people. And so I still have that hole in my heart that I'm trying to fill a God-sized hole with things that are like not nowhere near close to it. And so after I meet all these new people, this is now January of 2023, And, you know, by this time, you're able to go to prom. And, like, without having to ask somebody to take you, you can just go. Your, like, ability is there. And so, you know, I'm like, sweet, yeah. I mean, I'll go to prom. All my friends are going. And it's one of my friends last year, so he has to go. And so I might as well go with him. And so we did this thing where I kind of asked this one girl, and he kind of wanted to go with her, you know. And so I let him go with her, and then I went with the girl he was supposed to go with. And it's very complicated. It's so weird. I don't know. We like flip flop just because, like, I don't know. But oh my goodness.
High school complications.
I know
Yeah.
it made it too complicated than it should have been. But, you know, I was interested in going to prom, and so the girl I was going with at the time, I didn't like her, but I like kind of grew to like her, you know. And I kind of, you know, with my imagination thought of, like, you know, maybe by the time spring break comes or something, maybe we can go out or something like that, you know, just to get, because I kind of liked her like that. And so I was like, I'm gonna do whatever I can in order for her to like me back. And so like I said, I was playing football this time, and by the time prom comes, you know, I'm thinking that, like, I'm able to maybe you know, be with her. And so prom gets here, and, you know, of course we're going by with friends, and so there's a bunch of us that went, and, you know, the day was all right. It wasn't terrible. And by the time we get to the actual dance, you know, of course we're friends, so we're not gonna, like, dance with each other. I don't know, it's weird. But towards the end of it, I learned that, like, she didn't want anything with me. You know, she didn't want to, I guess, be with me like I wanted. And so you know, she asked me something, and to this day, like, I remember where we were and everything, just because it was so significant, because it really changed the way I thought and the way I did stuff, especially, like, in football. And I didn't like what she said and what she did, and so I just, you know, I went silent. I went, like, incognito, I guess, and I didn't talk to nobody about my feelings. I thought, like, you know, if you cried, you weren't a man. And so I tried to hide my feelings and build or hold it in, because I thought that's what the best thing to do, just pass over. It'll just pass over. And
the most
so
nonchalant of the
yes.
nonchalant.
I tried to be nonchalant, yes, and it did not work. I'm telling you right now, it did not work. And so after prom, of course, I didn't like what she did, so I kept it to myself. And I remember just sitting in the living room pondering, like, why me? Why does this have to be me? I've already been through so much. Why should I have to suffer even more? You know, suffering, I say, but it's just a complication, right? And so I took that to heart, and, you know, I tried not to, I distanced myself from her, because I was like, if I do any more, it's going to hurt me even more. Because, you know, I kind of, like, idolized this girl. Like, I put her as, like, my God almost, because if I didn't text her, or she was taking too long to text her, I would worry, and I'd be anxious, and I'd be just, like, crazy just because she wasn't texting me, right? And, like, of course, you know, it hurt my heart just because I was like, man, I lost it, right? And so that summer of junior year going into senior year, you know, I started hitting the gym more. I started playing football, taking football a little more seriously, because I felt that that's the only thing that can help me. Only thing can cure me. And so I don't think I've ever told anybody this, but, you know, my relationship with God was never good. Or in this situation, it wasn't the best. And I believed in God, but I didn't really show that I believed in him, right? And this song that I've known for a while, I think it's Elevation Worship that sings it. It's the same God. And so one time, whenever we was maxing out in football, you know, I decided, I don't know why, like, I had always been listening, like, to rap and stuff that was furthest away from God, right? Because that's what everybody, like, cool kids were doing. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Sweet. I'm gonna know knowledge about rap just so they can be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be this guy's friend, right? And so, I don't know why. This song came on my mind. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be different this time. I'm gonna put this song as like my motivation almost. And we was maxing out. And before this, mind you, I had my max maybe 200 pounds on bench. This is bench. And of course, I couldn't do nothing like 225 or anything like that. And so whenever I put that song, before that, I was like testing out 225 and it felt like light. I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, I'm not trying to brag at all. I really ain't. Like, for real, I'm not trying to. But whenever I put this song on, they loaded up the plates for me. I didn't even look at how much it was because I knew that it was a lot, but I didn't want to think about it because if I thought about it, I'm going to doubt myself. I'm going to do this and that. And so when I put that song on, I genuinely had faith that the Lord would have helped me in the situation and shown that through him, all is possible. No matter if it's weightlifting or conquering a specific sin or like in your marriage or anything. And so in that moment, I genuinely felt that he was with me and that he had me in his hands, in his arms. And so when I went under that bar, I prayed. I was like, Lord, I know you're here with me. Show me that you're real. Show me that you can prove, or not prove, but you can show me that through you all things are actually possible. And so I believe that. And when I tell you that I just like absolutely benched like more weight than I ever thought, I knew that the God was real because I genuinely felt his arms just lift up the bar. And I mean, that thing flew. I mean, it went down all the way up. And I was like, I could have done more if I tried, but like I genuinely felt that he was there with me and he helped me through that entire like process of lifting that weight. And that's not me like bragging how much it was or anything, but I genuinely felt that he was there with me and I knew that he was real. And I knew everything I did after that was going to have to be for his name because he helped me when I needed it the most. Maybe from the outside, people see, oh, this guy's just like weightlifting to get better football. But genuinely, I was hurting. My heart was bitter. It was like a heart of stone, just like Pharaoh's in the story of Moses when he was bringing the people out of Egypt. And so I didn't have that heart of flesh. And so whenever that happened, I like got up. I like started crying because I knew that he was real and I knew that he was the Lord. And I got on my knees, just started crying, and I said, Lord, thank you. I know you're real. And then everybody else just started, of course, hugging me, and they started crying with me because it's like, what in the world is going on right now? This is like, I don't know. It was weird because it wasn't weird, but it was God. And everybody was just like,
that's not crazy.
Wow.
That's God.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know, it's just like, it was so weird.
There's a bunch of high school
No,
boys on the floor crying together.
It was.
That's what I'm imagining.
It was just because like it was so powerful. Like everybody was like, "Why are you putting worship music?" Like, somebody said it was like because there's a church there. It's called The Point, and there's like, I got that point music up in here, and I was like, "Hey man, I'm just trying to lift this weight." And
it's a good song too.
Yes.
So
very good song. Mm-hmm. Like he is the same God he was in the book of Exodus to now. Mm-hmm. Like he has not changed in the way of his love is. He still loves us very much as he did in the Old Testament. But like, I don't know, in that moment I just felt his presence. And so after that, that kind of was like the event that kind of changed the way I looked at my faith. Going into my senior year, I kind of was still kind of angry just because of what she did. And so I used that anger through football, and I kind of used it as like an anger management class. And I would take all the anger I had from when I was a kid, from my dad leaving, when I was getting bullied. I was like, you know what, I'm going to take it on the field. And I would just hurt as much as I could. Like, I was kind of a dirty player in football. I would scratch and I would pinch. I would do whatever I can. Whenever like we was tackling or whatever, just because I was like, I'm going to get all my anger out. And I just despised it. Like, I put my image in my head that anybody of the opposing jersey was my enemy. And so I just went full out. And, you know, I would do things that probably weren't good and weren't Christ-like. So, you know, after this season, of course, you know, my goal was every game that I at least get 2 of those things. And so by the time the season ended, you know, I'm kind of like not thinking about this girl. I've already forgotten her, you know. She's off her whole life. I'm in my own life. So I'm doing my thing by myself. You know, the season's over, and I have to come up with the question of, what am I going to do after high school? Am I going to go to college? Am I going to go work? Am I going to go to the military? That's only 3 options I had. And so, you know, I haven't talked to this girl at all. I don't even think I have her added or maybe something like that. And my church has this Christmas party that we have annually. And it's like a week or so before Christmas, or maybe 2 weeks or something. And, you know, of course, she goes to the same church as me. And we've been doing it since like 6th grade. And I see her, but I don't even think about it. And after the Christmas party, you know, I get a random text from her. I'm like, why is she texting me, you know? And so basically what she was just texting me about is like that she doesn't want anything from us, but she does misses what we had before. And, you know, of course, my weak little heart was like, you know what? Maybe I'll give her another chance. Maybe she's changed. I mean, because I'm accepting the change. And so I was like, maybe she's changed, so I'll do it. And so, you know, I was like, you know, we become friends. And we talked entire month of December, January. And, you know, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to ask her out to go to prom again. You know, I just didn't listen, or I learned my lesson last time. And so, so from January to May, that's the time when prom is in May. I tried my hardest just to, like, you know, make her my best friend or whatever, and just get as close as we can. So, you know, because eventually I did want a relationship with her. And, you know, I did the whole thing where I asked them out to prom and do all this and that. And by the time we get to prom, you know, we've had our small little difficulties, and it got me thinking a lot about, like, what a relationship is and how it should be played out, worked out. And so when we get to prom, you know, it's probably, I don't know, I had a great time at prom because everything was fitting right. And prom was a great night. And of course, after prom comes graduation. And so after graduation, I still didn't know if I was going to college, if I was going for football to college, or anything, you know. I don't even think I've even tried to, like, scout or anything. I don't think I did anything. Like, I didn't ask for any scholarships or anything. I mean, I applied for one, but I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this full ride to WKU. I was like, there's no way. So it left my mind. And so whenever graduation came, you know, of course, we're still talking, but, you know, I see it in clear sight that she didn't want anything with me. After graduation, it was basically like, oh, it's over. Like, I don't want anything with you. And so I kind of did that, like, I don't know. I just tried everything I could to convince her that even though you're going off to college and this and that to play this and that, maybe we can still work it out, even if it's long distance or whatever, right? And so I still had that hope. And by this time, you know, of course, I still idolizing this girl. Like, if she's not texting me, I'm worried. Like, is she okay? Is she this and that? And I didn't really know, I guess, what my name was. And so after graduation comes the summer, of course, of before freshman year, and I still didn't know if I was going to go to school at all. And like, we decided that, you know what, maybe we would try to work it out. But so we would go on, like, these dates, and we actually spend the whole summer together as much as we could before college. And I still didn't know if I was going to college, so I was working at a factory. And in the middle of, like, July, you know, we're still doing really good. I think at some point I'm gonna probably plan on asking her if she wants to have a relationship. And I get this call from the people that I applied for a scholarship, and they say that I got accepted, that I got the full ride to WKU. And, as soon as well, they sent something in the mail, but they called me kind of before. And once I saw the actual paper, I was like, who's mailing me this, right? It was in the middle of the night, maybe 12 a.m. Mom was asleep. Everybody was asleep. I read the paper. I don't know why I was awake. I forget. But I read the paper, and it says that I have been accepted. And I just run to my mom's room and just start crying because I'm like, Mom, this is what the Lord wants for us. This is what he wants me to do in my life, because I didn't think at all I was going to get this. I was working at this factory, the hours were not consistent at all. Maybe sometimes I have to wake up at 3 in the morning or at 2 just to get there, maybe at 4 or whatever time it was. And it wasn't consistent. I did not like it at all. I'd have to go to sleep 7 or 8 in the afternoon. And it was it's hard labor. I didn't get maybe a 5 or 10 minute break between a 2-hour session or so. And it was just a bunch of difficulties that I really just didn't like. I dreaded to go in there. And so by the time June comes, she has to leave a little early for college. And ever since that week, now we're in July. Sorry, I meant July, not June. And from July to October, she didn't one time ever text me or call me, or she give me the cold shoulder basically, but the super cold shoulder, because I didn't get nothing from this girl, not a text, not a hey. And I had her location, of course, and I would see that she'd be active or something, and I'd get kind of upset. I was like, man, is that really just used for I don't know, an escape? Almost just before college, just so I have a little fun before college. And I'm still thinking that we're at least friends or something, right? By the time October comes, and I just throw something out there. I was like, hey, I'll be waiting for you or something like that. And, she texts what are you talking about? And she's like, no, I was like, well, I'm still going to wait for you, I guess, and maybe when you're ready. And she's like, well, I don't want you to do that because I've ended things a long time ago. And I was like, oh, well, thanks for letting me know now, 3 months after I haven't seen you. It hurt me a lot. I was like, wow, that I've never been told that before that. And so I didn't know what to do. I had to find a way to manage all this. And so after that, I just try to find, like I said, that thing that could fill that hole in my heart. And beginning of freshman year, I decided to get in contact with, ironically, her cousin that my other friend took. And so what are you doing here? Because I knew she was going to campus. I seen her. I was like, I'm going to text her. And she was like, I got more in contact with her, and she had been going to this thing called Crew at WKU. I was like, ministry, that's something I need right now, because this is all new to me. I'm kind of feeling scared. I'm feeling alone. And so I'm going to see how this is, because I've known how my church was with me and how accepting and loving they were. So I was like, let me try this out and see, maybe I can learn more. And when I first went there, it was nothing I'd ever experienced before, because it was different. Everybody's about the same age as me. They weren't extremely older than me. So I was like, this is great. Meet new people. I invited one of my friends to come, and he came. He was coming with me consistently, and we loved it. We loved it. And this was the fall of 24. So going into 25, I'm in my second semester of school, of college, and by this point, I've already been super, super sad about what happened. And so I'm kind of trying to find an answer to why this all happened to me. And so January of 2025, I get a call from Crossings that they accepted my offer, and then I'm going to be able to work that summer. And I was like, that is awesome. This place that has shown me so much love and acceptance, I'm going to be working there. Maybe I can do that for somebody. Maybe they can feel loved because they didn't feel loved at home or something. And later time to find out that she's actually working there as well. And so I'm like, oh, sweet, okay, that's gonna be hopefully good. And then at this point, I hadn't talked to her since November, and I was just planning to go there and try to do whatever I can to maybe like avoid her or just like not talk to her at all. And so after that, from January to May, I said, you know what, I'm gonna try to get as close as I can to God and try to just be more spiritually knowledgeable for these kids, because I know there's gonna be so many kids that are coming from everywhere and from so many different circumstances, and I know I gotta try to be that light for them. And so I started reading my Bible more. I had this study Bible that had like space for like where you can write notes and stuff, and almost like that. And I had been going through Genesis, I went through Exodus, and I went some of through the New Testament, and I was just like loving what God was showing me. Like, that's the only time I feel like I genuinely wanted to know more about God and know the love that he has given me ever since I was born. Like, ever since he was knitting me in my mom's womb, like the love that he has had for me. And like from that point, I felt like I forgave her, and I forgave like all she did to me, which it feels like it was not that much, but like I didn't resent her, I didn't hate her. I just wanted her to know that I forgive her, and that if it were to come down, like if she still wanted to be friends, that'd be okay, but I can't do anything else, right? And so in that time, that space, he gave me so much knowledge, and I feel like he showed me so many things. Like, it was just like a turning point. Like, it was like 180 degrees the other way. And I felt the most closest. Like, I don't know. It just, whenever I was so down and so depleted of life and I just wanted to quit, I didn't want to do it anymore, he was there to rescue me. He came and redeemed me and showed me how much love he has for me. Even though nobody else loved me, he still loves me. And that's why I feel like this verse that I shared today was so dear to me, because he knows me by name and calls me by it. Like, that's just so powerful to me, because all my life I've wanted to feel loved, or all my life I wanted to feel like I'm accepted, and I hadn't. And only him, he has loved me so much, and it's just so powerful to know that. And so I decided I want to show that love to everybody when I get to Crossings. So this is May of 2025, and I'm working Crossings, and it's like a great place. I mean, so when we start off, like, part of what Eli said in his testimony was that the staffers, are the returners, what we call them, is whenever they have worked another year, they came and just like, like he said, they washed their feet and prayed over us. And I was just like, wow, what an act of service to willingly come and wash probably my dirty, nasty feet, mind you. Like, it's probably disgusting, but they're willing to come and wash them. Like, the act of humility and the act of just like wanting to serve, even though they know what's to come this summer, because they've already been through it once. It's just so astonishing to me. I couldn't hold it in. I had to let it out. And so I just started crying. I was like, wow, what an act of love, just to be so humble enough to wash my feet. He doesn't even know me that well. He's met me maybe a week or two. And, I just started crying. And, of course, Eli was next to me. And, the first thing I just thought was like, my mom. She has been through so much. And she's part of my testimony, as you can tell. But I just love her so much. She's been through so much. And I can only show her and nothing but love for what she's done for me. I feel like if I didn't grow up the way I did, I'd probably be a spoiled brat right now. I'm not gonna lie. Like, she humbled me a lot, I feel like. And after camp, of course, you would think that, oh, since I worked this summer, not sinning and not trying to but trying to only serve God, you would think it'd be so much easier after that. But no, there was the enemy right there. He was at the door knocking. He wanted to come in. He wanted to take over what God had just done for me and for everybody else, not just for me, but he had tempted me so many times with so many things, with things that I don't even know how to describe, just because it was just like so surreal. Like I couldn't believe that he wanted me so much. Like he wanted to take me so far away from God, just because he knows that my relationship with him is going so much closer with him. And so after camp, I go into my sophomore year, I'm like coasting, I'm going with God, and so many things are coming up. My sister has a baby, and of course the baby was born premature, and so I think it was 3 months before he was supposed to, that that thing the devil was just trying to do is like, hey, God was presenting me with a nephew, thankfully, and he was trying to take that away, because he knows how powerful God is and how he can use that premature baby to uphold and glorify him. And so I just still was steadfast in his love and faithful that he is the Lord, and I can only praise him for what he has done. And I'm so thankful that everything I went through and everything I've learned was for his plan and not my own. And I'm grateful that all the things happened to me, because without them, I don't know where I'd be right now. I really wouldn't know. But that leads to now, and I'm here sharing my testimony with y'all. And so part of my testimony, I don't want people to maybe feel pity over me or feel sad for me, but I want them to see that I was once lost, and I was once yearning for love and acceptance, but God redeemed me. But God is highlighted right there. But God, he has redeemed me and changed me from what I was before to what I am now, and I am so grateful. He had to do everything that happened in my life in order for me to understand that I'm not everything. He's everything. He is gonna be my Savior, the Lord of my life. That's who I worship from now until my time comes. But yeah, that's my testimony.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. That was so good.
That was. So, do we get into questions now?
Yeah. Well, before you get any questions, I think I think you explained that really well, and that that can be a really an eye opener to a lot of people who feel that void of love, and that only the Father can fill. So I just wanted to say that. But
yeah,
you go ahead. She's always rolling with questions. She's so good at it. I'm just sitting here getting immersed. I'm like a sponge, and she's over here like, what questions?
I have a few of them, but I won't ask all of them. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I probably will. I think the first one I'll ask is, for people that think that they have to perform to have friends, what comfort can you provide for them that you don't have to perform for Christ? Can you talk more about that? Because, I mean, you mentioned it earlier in your testimony of how you felt like you had to perform to have friends in elementary school. But now coming into a faith in a relationship with Christ, do you feel like you have to perform? Do you feel like it is a performance? You can disagree with me. You can go more into that, but that's the question.
She asked.
Do you want to read it?
Can I see it?
Yeah.
Which one is this one?
It's the first one.
Oh, okay. So,
Visual learner.
I feel like whenever I had to perform and prove my worth to them, I always felt like it wasn't me, and it wasn't who God made me. And so the comfort I can impose on them is that know that you don't have to do stuff to glorify I mean, you do have to do stuff, but you can't earn eternity. You can't read your Bible every single day and only do it just so you can earn eternity. You can't preach the gospel to people just so you can have recognition and people know you just for that, you know? You can't act as somebody you're not, because the Lord knows who you are, and he has called you, like it says here, called you by name. So do what he has told you. He has called you. He knows your name. He knew you when he was knitting you in your mom's womb. He knew what you was going to do. He knew you was going to sin. He knew you were going to be at a low point in your life, and that he was going to come and rescue you. So know that you are loved, and know you don't have to perform for nobody. You don't have to be someone you're not, because the Lord knows you and he loves you. I feel like one thing that definitely helped me a lot was just finding that church, that home that doesn't feel like home, you know, like your home is where you sleep and everything, but that church family was just so powerful to me. They helped me so much and led me so well. And I feel like whenever you plug yourself into that church family and that, like, where people can disciple to you, that helps a lot, because you learn so much from the older people. Like, I think it's in 1 Peter where it says, like, be like, gosh, it's just saying, like, be accustomed to listening, or be fast to listen to the older, because they're, or something like that. They're wise. So the point is that the older people are wise, and they have been through so much. Maybe they can help you. Maybe they can show you how they went through that. And so just be so submissive to them. Like, learn, and don't talk before they say something, right? And so just listen to what they're saying, because it helped me a lot. It helped me understand that not only can I, as a person, be able to glorify God with my voice, with my actions, my thoughts, but they have done it before, and so they can show you how to do that. But
yeah, that's good.
1 Peter 5:5 says, "Likewise, you who are younger, be subject to the elders. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility towards one another."
Word.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Summer with the
Sound
quick.
like
I always try to, yeah,
That's
I got
good.
you.
That's awesome. I like that a lot, because I think we mentioned it maybe in our Q&A episode last week. Matthew, it's Matthew 7 verses like 21 or something like that, because I went back and looked it up while I was editing to make sure I was right whenever I was reading it. But it talks about it's Matthew 7:21, and it says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day many will say to me, 'Lord, Lord, do we not prophesy in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and do many mighty works in your name?' And then will I declare to them, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness.'" And I think that goes into some of what you were saying of you can't earn salvation. You can't earn that, because they did all these things in the name of the Lord, yet the Lord says, "I never knew you.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew you at all." So it's not a performance, but it's a surrenderance, I guess you could
A
say.
submission, yeah.
Submission. That's good. But that kind of leads into my next question. And my next question is, what's the difference between knowing God and believing in him and being changed by him? If you think there is a difference.
This is him.
Yeah.
So, I'd say the difference in knowing God and believing in him, you can know God. Like, me as a kid, I knew there was a God. I knew there was a heaven and hell. You know, I knew that I was either going to heaven or hell. But I didn't know God. Like, I didn't know him personally. I didn't know that he loved me so much, even before I was born. He loved me so much that he willingly sacrificed himself, took the entire burden and pain from the Lord, and hung on a cross so that we, as people, could rejoice in the fact that he freed us. He paid the price that we couldn't pay. That burden that he held was far more greater than anything that any human has ever done. And the fact that he came back 3 days later and showed everybody that the price was paid was just like, I don't know, it was just so surreal and so amazing. Like, I would say, like you said last, or I think it was last episode, where it's like, he's like a gangster, man. Like, he came back 3 days later, but he's not that kind of gangster of like a thug. He's that, like, I don't know, he's just so amazing what he did for us. But the difference is all in your faith, I feel like, just because if you, like Jesus says, I think it's in Matthew, where he's like, if you even have a faith like of a mustard seed and you tell that mountain to move, it will move. Like, just believing in him and knowing who he is, like, I feel like there's a difference. And it's because, you know, like an example I can give is, I know a certain person that, you know, he knows, he believes in God. He knows there's a God, and he's fighting, you know, a battle right now between like sin and choosing Christ. And so him only knowing God isn't gonna save him, isn't gonna bring him to eternity with Christ, you know. And so him believing believing everything that the Lord has said is true, and having faith that he can move mountains just with his name, right? That is what's gonna help him know more who God is, like learning his word. And so I feel like there is a difference between knowing and believing in him. And when you are being changed by him, there's a word for it. I think is it sanctification?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Sanctification, being made holier.
Yeah.
Each and every day.
Yeah. And shout out to Jillian for that word. She said that a lot in my freshman Bible study group. I basically like know it like the back of my hand, basically. But like being sanctified every single day, it's not going to be easy, because there's going to be so many things that want to take you away from his hand. But the fact that you want to read and know more about him, and the fact that you want to seek him out, even though your path that you think is better doesn't lead to him, is so important. And I'd say that when you are being changed, you may not know it in a second, but you'll see it. Like, you will notice it from your path. Like, hey, I was hanging out with all these people that were drinking and smoking and doing all this, but now look at me now. I'm not going to church. I want to know more about him. I want to show people his love, because he's shown me so much. Like, if you see that change, that's when you know that, like, the Lord is sanctifying you every single day. And one of the big ways to help see that, you know, it's like with like a friend or something, you know, maybe you haven't seen a friend in a while, and he says, like, you know, there's something different about you. You don't act the same, you don't talk the same, and maybe it'd be a good thing or it'd be a bad thing, but the fact is you have to be like spiritually aware of what the Lord has done for you and what he's still doing in your life, because it's not over. Like, I may be 20-something years old, but he's still not done with me. If I still have breath in my lungs, he is not done with me. And I praise him for that. Every single day I wake up, I praise him that I even have air in my lungs. Because some people wake up that day and who knows where they're at, you know? We don't know if somebody's going to go to heaven or hell. That's between them and God. But we have to know that, you know, every day is not, what's it called? Not guaranteed. And so we have to live like it's not. Like, tomorrow I may not wake up. And if I do, then praise the Lord. And if I don't, praise the Lord again. Because because that means maybe I'll find rest. You know, because when we go to heaven, that's when we will have rest, just as Jesus did, you know. He finally found rest in the Lord. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know a little spiel, but sorry.
I have one more question. And it's, If there are listeners that are struggling with being bullied or judged, what advice can you offer?
The advice I could offer, I feel like whenever those like times are happening and those events are happening, the most thing I depended on or needed in the time was just like the reassurance of that the Lord will never leave me. So one way you could do that, is speaking out about it, like maybe going to your parents or maybe going to a counselor, be like, hey, this is happening. What can we do about it? Because I don't feel loved and I don't feel like this is right. And so, even if they reject you and say, oh no, it's not right, or it's just a joke or whatever, like find that love that the Lord is seeking out for you. Like you may not see it in plain sight, but he's offering you love that you couldn't even fathom, just because maybe you're stuck in the same sin you are now. And so I feel like the best thing I could say is just like seek it out. Like if I never had spoken up about me getting bullied, I never would have moved from Franklin. We would have stayed there because my mom absolutely loved Franklin. She still loves it today, but she didn't know the stuff I went through. And so if I never spoke up about it, she never would have sent my sister's dad to go and talk to the principal. And they didn't do nothing. They was like, oh, it's just a joke. And so if you don't seek out like guidance or like just some like parent or somebody older to help you, then it will never like change, and just know that the Lord is with you. Like he is waiting for you in open arms. So the sufferings of this world cannot compare to the paradise he has for us, right? And so I feel like just seeking out that help helps a lot.
That's good.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Well, that's all.
That's all the questions you got.
Have.
I know. I don't have any questions. I was just listening that time. You asked some good questions, but we do ask every guest the same question, and that is, if you had to leave the listeners with one piece of advice to take with them, what would that be?
I feel like whenever Emerson asked me this question, I pondered a lot just because, I was like, who am I to give advice to anybody, because, what have I done? But it's not about what I've done. It's about what the Lord has done for me. And so I feel like if I left the earth and I had to say some kind of advice, I would say that, like, referring back to John 10, like, the Lord loves you. No matter what you've done, no matter who you are, he still loves you. And, he knows you by name. Like, I don't think some people understand how powerful that is. Like, he knows you. He loves you and he knows you. Like, he will never forsake you. He says, so many things will try to snatch you out of my hand, but I am waiting for you with open arms. One of the things that helped me most when I thought about not having an earthly father, right? I thought just about how my heavenly Father is waiting with open arms in heaven for me. That gives me so much more comfort, just because it's like, wow, he's waiting there's somebody waiting for me. And it just gives me so much joy every time I think about it, that somebody is still loving me and waiting for me for when I finally get to go him. There's just one song. It's called I think it's called Forgiving God.
Oh my God, just run to Jesus. That was my Testimony Tuesday song when I did the little post. That's one of my favorite. Yeah.
It's so good.
So good.
So good. Like, just run to Jesus. It's so good. Like, he's waiting with open arms. Gosh, like, that just gives me so much more comfort in my faith and in whatever I do, because I know he's waiting for me. I can be spit on and all these other stuff and hated for what I believe in, but I know the Lord is waiting for me, and he's waiting for you too. So if you're listening out there, know that he is waiting for you. But yeah.
I like that.
That's good.
That was good. Alrighty. Well, you want to close us out in prayer? But before you close us out in prayer, I do just want to say thank you again for coming on and giving your testimony.
Thank you guys for doing this. This is a very great act of service for the Lord. This is great.
All for him. All right. You going to close us out in prayer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just bow your heads with me. Blessed are you, Lord, Father Almighty. Lord, we pray in your name today because, Lord, you are good. Lord, you bring us out of the deep end and bring us into the light, Lord. You are the light of the world, Lord. Lord, I pray that this testimony that you made, Lord, and that you have brought me out of, Lord, I pray that any listener listening that would see this and not be sad or mad or displeased with it, but they would rejoice in the fact that, Lord, you have redeemed us and you have changed us. Lord, change the hearts of those who listen. Change my own heart, Lord. Know that we love you so much, Lord, and we glorify your name in everything we can do, Lord. So just be with us as we go out with our walk with you. Let us be submissive to you, Lord. And let us give you all the praise that we can. In your Son, holy, precious name that I pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. The Lord knows you by name, and that's God.